Evolution of a Nobody, Book 2. Chapters 34 and 35, Wrath and Revelation. Raziel smacked the door with the back of her hand. It flung inward and smashed against the doorstop with an audible clap-like thunder that snapped the aged office drones out of their bureaucratic stupor with wide, blinking eyes. "Mrs. Lamarck," the receptionist barely whispered the words. "Spare me your tedious greetings, troll. I'm here to see the pathetic excuse for a jailer who runs this shit show. Tell him I'm here with my lawyer." Any thought of asking her to leave visibly died in the older woman's eyes when she heard the word lawyer. "My client is agitated, but with good reason. I'm George Spencer, her legal counsel, and I have to say this has got to be the most egregious case I've handled in over 50 years of practicing law." Leala lied and made the wrinkled face turn stern and disapproving. "You could ask her to leave, but if we walk out of here without a meeting, all of you can expect to spend a lot of time in court as co-conspirators in a targeted campaign of child abuse." Heads poked up from behind cubicles, and the frumpy woman rose to her feet and without a word rushed into the back office. Her hands were shaking before she even reached the chrome doorknob. Whatever she whispered, it was effective. "Come on back," she said, unable to meet the eyes of the outraged mother while Raziel breezed past her. The principal stood up and extended his hand. "Sit down and shut up," Raziel said with blazing eyes full of wrath. "And put that away," she said, staring balefully down at his hand. "I wouldn't touch it unless it was to cut it off." He stiffened. The gregarious smile on his face faded a little and his brow furrowed. "You were supposed to—" He started to complain about the early arrival, but Raziel slapped her hands down on the desk with another thunderclap of noise that was all the louder in the confined office. "Shut up," I said. "Let my lawyer speak, then I'll let you grovel." Raziel's venomous tongue played to her demonic heritage, and coupled with the late Mrs. Lamarck's reputation, it was enough to briefly cast the principal into silence. "George, go ahead and play it," Raziel said without breaking eye contact with the old bureaucrat. Leala took Albert's cell phone out, unlocked it, and played the first video. She held the phone straight out but held it tight, unwilling to let it go. The video was the one of several boys trying to force Albert to literally eat dirt. "Hold his nose so he has to open up!" Leala drew the phone back, stopped it, and went to another showing him getting shoved repeatedly into lockers. Held at an angle, an adult was clearly visible. The clatter of flesh on hollow metal containers made a horrendous noise for several seconds before the next video was played. "I have dozens of these, and I can get dozens more," Leala proclaimed. "But I didn't know—" He began to protest. "Don't lie to me!" Raziel bellowed at him loud enough that anyone still working outside stopped. "You can't not have known." "Should I call for the school nurse and ask her how many times she's treated Albert's injuries in the last 2 years? Leala asked. "If you didn't know what was happening, you are the most inept administrator I have ever seen in my life, and no jury will believe that the nurse never told you, that you never saw and just didn't know. If they do believe that, your career is over. If they don't—" Raziel chimed in. "I'll get all of these, I'll compile them into the greatest hits, and I'll plaster this school all over it, and you in particular. I will take out loans and run these on video billboards and put the names of this trashy school and those trash families along with all of your addresses in the headlights. I will name this entire town." Leala said and put a hand on Raziel's shoulder, stopping the woman while the principal's eyes bulged with a mix of horror and very real worry. "What my client is saying is that this will get very messy very fast. You know my name, I'm sure." Leala couldn't help but laugh. It came out as a deep-voiced chuckle. "I love to be in court, and I love fighting for what is just. I will be happy to depose every single member of this staff, including the school nurse, your security guard, his teachers who witnessed everything, and every little brat that did all of this. How long do you think it will be before criminal charges are filed?" The principal's eyes darted around. "I know how your local cops are, but I won't go local." Leala folded a hand behind her back. "Legally, a child on school grounds is a ward of the state. Do you think the governor wants his state known as the poster child for school violence just before an election? Do you think anyone will lie for any of you?" Leala asked, teasing the words out in a slow, steady drawl. She tapped another video that showed the latest incident, hitting Albert's head with the basketball. "I have this from multiple angles. And you wanted to send the victim home?" "I'm just protecting my school from a disruptive element. the principal protested. He put a hand over his rapidly rising and falling chest. "Whenever he's around, there's trouble." "Oh, so you're saying that the problem with bullied children is the children who are bullied, and it's easier to remove them than to remove those who violently assault them?" Leala asked. "That's not what I said." "You're twisting my words," the principal exclaimed. "I'm a lawyer. That's my job description, and I'm very good at it." Leala lied and couldn't resist a sparkling smile through her illusion. "You won't make a good witness for your lawyer if you can't do better than that. Now look, you and I both know what will happen if this goes to court. I'll depose your staff under oath, and they will break rather than lose their retirements. I'll depose your nurse and ask for detailed information about all the injuries he suffered on school grounds. I'll release all the videos that have been taken and have every student questioned, and charges will be filed for the various assaults that have taken place, and you, I will push to be tried as an accessory. Your teachers, they won't be able to work in schools as janitors when I'm through." "What do you want?" The principal broke. He hung his head while another video began to play. Alber's audible voice, "Stop it, please stop it," was a punch to the gut for the man removed from it all. "Arrests and jail!" Raziel hissed like a furious serpent. "That is what we want. But we will settle for expulsions, terminations, and you will retire," Leala demanded, and when the video ended, she locked the phone and put it in the front coat pocket. But, he began to protest. "No! You let this happen to my Albert. You failed him for 2 years, and when he finally defends himself, you punish him?" "Absolutely not. If you remain in that chair while he is in this school, I will see you in court every week until you die giving a deposition." "I don't work anymore. I have nothing else to do but make you suffer." Raziel curled her lip in a furious snarl. "She can afford it. I'm taking this case pro bono. I'm semi-retired now, and a case like this to close out my career, securing my legacy as a protector of children and reforming the entire state policy on school violence and accountability. That's a good way to go out. Go on. Test me." Leala leaned forward, aged-old face to aged-old face, steely eyes to broken ones. He stopped his words in mid-response. "Shut up," Raziel barked again. "I don't want words, I want actions. We're leaving this shit place, and Albert will be doing school from home for the next few weeks. When he comes back, every one of those students are gone, and you are packing up your office. Just send me the videos. I'll need to justify it all to the parents." The principal couldn't meet the eyes of the outraged mother. "George," Raziel said, glancing at her legal counsel. "Of course. Give me your card and I'll send it to you on our way out," Leala promised the pale-faced principal. She extended her hand and the administrator swallowed hard, reached into his desk and with a fumbling finger managed to knock several of them to the floor before his sweaty fingers grabbed just one successfully and handed it over. "Go ahead and watch all of those videos. Start asking questions. You'll get the names responsible very quickly, I'm sure." "Don't make me come back here, because if I have to and it's not to watch you leave," Raziel said with barely concealed hatred. Her body shook. Her fingers twitched as she pressed down on the polished, smooth desk. "I won't just make sure you wish you were never born. I'll make sure your staff and your teachers all wish the same thing." She straightened, smoothed her dress, and spun on her heel. "George, we're leaving. We're done here." With that, Raziel flung open the door and walked out, lightly brushing back her honey-blonde hair as her sister followed after her. Dumbstruck faces followed the pair out, but if anybody had the courage to speak before, it was gone by the time the pair made to leave. Only when both Raziel and Leala were well away from the building did they speak, and when they did, Leala asked only, "Do you think it was effective?" "We'll know soon enough, but where did you get your act from?" Raziel asked after a sudden onrush of curiosity. "Oh, old legal shows," Leala asked with a sheepish grin that seemed almost out of place on the thin, wrinkled old man face she wore. "Do you think I was too over the top?" No, I think you hit the mark. But I was watching one of those forensic shows, and I think the words you were looking for were pro bono, not pro bone," Raziel said, and the wrinkled illusion blushed a little bit. Leala rubbed the back of her head and looked at the ground at her feet. "Oops." "It's fine. He didn't notice. He was far too scared for that." Raziel quipped, "Now let's head home. Maybe we can come up with something nice to do together. I guess birthdays are important to humans, and it is a nice tradition." They chatted amiably the rest of the way, reliving with some glee the ease with which the administration was cowed by pushback and the threat of being exposed. If they didn't want to be exposed for what they did, they shouldn't have done it in the first place. Leala told herself whenever she felt a twinge of pity rise in her conscience. But all of those justifications, which rang quite true in her own mind, were forgotten. When they entered the apartment again, and they saw Albert sitting in his bedroom chair in the middle of the little hall, clad in jeans and an old T-shirt, he was looking straight at the door to his mother's bedroom. He wasn't blinking, and his only motion was to tap one finger on his knee in seemingly endless nervous repetition. Why won't she wake up and come out? It's been hours, he asked. And without even a second thought, Raziel and Leala realized it wasn't them he was asking. Albert, how long have you been there? Raziel asked, gingerly stepping closer to him. I got out of the shower only minutes after you two left. The sandy-haired boy stared only ahead at the bedroom door. I thought maybe she'd come out. I know she had to have come back last night, so I wanted to catch her. I always miss her, all the time, every time. All I ever see is her sleeping. But if she came in at night and slept in this morning, she has to be here. So she's on the other side of that door, waiting and not coming out. How can anyone sleep this long? What time is it? I gave you my phone earlier, remember? He asked as his voice picked up a pace, and Leala quickly replied, dispelling the illusion and taking the phone out of the jacket. 9:15, she answered. Even if she didn't eat with you two, which I'd have heard if she had, even if she didn't come back until midnight. It's still been 9 hours. It's my birthday again. This is the third one she'll have missed, but she came back, so why isn't she coming out? I knocked, but she wouldn't say anything. Albert rambled. Raziel dispelled the illusion of his mother's form. I have some good news. It looks like we were successful. You're going to be going to school from here for a few weeks. The principal, he's got jelly for a spine. Raziel flashed her fang-filled smile. He's going to get rid of your tormentors. Really? Albert asked without looking away from the closed door. That's nice. Leala approached and handed him his phone back. I played a good lawyer. It was fun to see him quiver. What are you doing? She asked, stopping one sentence and asking the question when she saw Albert open the phone icon. Calling her. Albert answered, and 2 taps later the little barely audible ring began, first on his phone, then audibly on the other side of the door. She used to be a very light sleeper. But after everything, she started sleeping heavier, like she didn't want to be awake, so she kept the volume as high as she could. Albert explained the noise. So why isn't she waking up? It went to voicemail after several rings, and Albert quietly asked, Mom, it's my birthday. Can't you come out for just a little while? Things are just... Please come out. I want to see you, he begged, and then killed the call. Is she hiding from me? Avoiding me? It's like with Lisa. When everything happened, she stopped taking my calls, stopped coming by. Is my own mother ghosting me? He finally looked at the pair with wild-eyed desperation. His finger-tapping became a blur, and his phone fell to thud on the carpet, slipping away from his nerveless fingers. I should go in. I went in before, and she didn't say anything. She didn't wake up either. But maybe I can this time. It'll be all right. You two can just go wait in our room for a little bit while I... Albert, stop! Raziel finally yelled as he began to stand up. He was halfway to standing when her voice arrested his progress. The succubus couldn't cry as a human could, but her tongue carried with it the same emotion. She didn't come home last night, the demoness said. Her words were a heavy enough burden that it slumped her shoulders and drooped her wings to pass them from her lips to his ears. Her heart cracked a little at his confusion. Not even a full day. I couldn't even keep what I did quiet for 1 full day. This is my fault. This is all my blasted fault. The demoness, racked with guilt enough to set her wings and knees trembling, sank down to the carpet and closed her talon-tipped fingers over her shoulders by crossing her arms and bowed her head. Raz, what are you saying? Albert's confusion brought him away from the chair. What are you doing? He asked further and took him several steps closer. He didn't have a chance to take more before Leala intercepted him. She didn't wholly bar his path, but her wings spread out in all their glory, their breadth such that Raziel's posture was hidden from view by the wall of white feathers, and the soft fingers of the angel on his shoulder were tight and tense, much like the words the angel had to give. "It's a disgraced position for atonement. Specifically among demons," Liala said with a whisper that forced Albert to lean toward her to hear it. "Demons say that the face is the center of the self, where the soul resides, because it is the face that makes a person distinctly individual. Bodies are nothing, faces are everything. So by kneeling with the face unprotected, someone offers themselves up for retribution." Retribution? For what? Albert reflexively took a step back as if to withdraw from the very idea. "Who was here last night?" he demanded. He couldn't see through the white wall of wings, but it didn't stop the noise of Raziel's answer. "You were," Raziel replied. "You were here. You had dinner with us, with Lisa, Liala, and I. You were the fourth plate, the fourth cup that I stupidly forgot about. Not your mother. She hasn't come back." The first thing Albert did was exhale with relief. "So she isn't hiding in there, avoiding me. She hasn't ghosted me. She's—" His relief ground to a screeching halt. "Wait, why don't I remember it? What happened? Did I do something disgraceful?" Albert tried to think of anything he might have done, something they might want to hide from him. Nothing came to mind. "Did I do something bad?" Albert asked when his worrisome thoughts got the better of him. "No," Raziel and Liala spoke at once. "I won't hit her. You can move your wing, Liala," Albert said with quiet resolve, and with some reluctance the angel's wing bent and folded in. Albert stepped closer and knelt in front of the demoness. "Did Lisa have something happen to her, or did she say or do something?" He pressed his line of questioning further, and again the pair said simply, "No." "You shouldn't ask. By whatever gods your race believes in. Please don't ask," Raziel begged. "I'll confess what I did, but—" "We were only trying to help," Liala whispered behind his back. "I used magic on you against your will. That might not seem like much, but it's just the tip of the suburb." Raziel tightened her lips. "Iceberg, tip of the iceberg, Raz," Albert corrected her, and a tiny smile traced over her face. "Suburb, iceberg, it's a big deal to us outside of some situations like life or death or something like that. But there's more. I forced myself inside you." Albert briefly stiffened. His mouth dropped open. "She's not serious. Wait, no way. Neither of them would do that. No, she can't mean it how it sounds." He worked through to that conclusion after a few moments, and after coughing into his hand and clearing his throat, he said, "I don't understand." "She means she got in your mind," Liala answered. "I forced you to sleep, invaded your dreams, and I stole away the memory of those few hours." "Well, not stole. I sealed it away so you wouldn't remember them." "Any one of these is bad without a really, really good reason." "I did them all. There's no equivalent to this in your laws. At least I don't imagine there is," Raziel said in a tiny voice. She raised her hands out, then jerked them back down to clasp her shoulders again. "You trusted me to explore your mind, but on your terms I broke those, and I'm sorry," she whispered. "I want to know why," Albert demanded. "You wouldn't do something like that unless you had to, so why? What happened that night?" He looked away from the mute demon, who now bit her lower lip so hard that blood ran down her chin in a tiny trickle. "Albert, just trust us. You don't need to think about things like this. Just sentence my sister. Pass judgment and then leave the why in the dark where it belongs." "No," Albert said with a resolute stare down at the demoness. "I have a right to know if you keep it secret. You may as well just be violating my mind twice." Raziel flinched. Her voice cracked like crackers struck with a hammer. "As you wish. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry," she choked out and relayed the events to him from start to finish.